Well, another beautiful day in the woods. Yes, get out here with this fresh air. So I've been thinking this past few days about working and living in a society that is essentially racist. Well, it's a tough realization. I mean, the system is stacked against people of color, poor people. It's always been that way, probably since our very founding days. And it causes me to pause and reflect and to hopefully be able to empathize and then also to be able to act on what I've come to see, how my eyes have been opened. Working as a police officer, I knew that I worked in a system that was racially loaded, and I could do my small part and the part of my officers to try to make a difference. But still, the majority of our arrests and our activity, even in a basically white town like Madison, Wisconsin, was with people of color. So, I don't know what it's like. I've always enjoyed this white privilege. I mean, it goes without saying, right? A few times I remember vacationing in the South with my parents and going into a store and seeing, a colored drinking fountain outside, white and colored. I've never received much discrimination myself. I mean, I never had to worry about my boys growing up, whether or not the police might kill them from the age that they were young teenagers. But that's on the constant mind of people of color that I know. The only experience I really had one time is coming back after a long vacation and back in the late 60s and had a beard and kind of ratty clothes on. I remember being followed around a Target store or a Shopko store, whichever was the big box of the day at that time, by security personnel, kept an eye on me, and after I went to check out, I was stopped and asked if my check was good. And I never had that happen to me before. But that was the sort of the anti-hippie days, and I was probably kind of a hippie-looking guy, so a good target for security. But this is a burden, I think, that we must share, and I think in the kind of work that's coming out now, there's been some really good literature talking about race and racism in America, being white privilege, unconscious bias, all those things. It gives us a chance to learn some things and to think about and become more empathic. That's all very helpful. The other thing I see with the start of the Black Lives Matter movement is I have seen a lot more white people joining the marches than I saw, as I remember seeing only a few white people back in the 60s in the civil rights. So maybe some things have changed for the better over the past 50 years or so. But I don't think so. I'm reminded of the work of the President's Commission on the Causes and Prevention of Violence, called the Kerner Commission, back in 1968. Talked about the gap between whites and blacks in America, a gap that was wide and unequal. 50 years later, some journalists took out that report and contacted some of the members that were on that commission and did some analysis of economics and found out the gap is even wider today than it was in 1968. We've had a black president. We currently, those of us who are Episcopalians, have a black presiding bishop. All that is well and good, but there seems to be more, so much more. And you know, it isn't on the it's not on the back of black people anymore. You say, oh, you people need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Or as Kelly Brown Douglas, Episcopal theologian, woman I met a number of years ago, asked her father one time, you know, why do white people treat us so badly? And the answer she received from her father was, because they can. Because they can. So I think that's where anti-racism comes into play. To recognize our privilege and to speak up and to stand up and to be activists, to be allies for the cause. And that cause is justice and equality, freedom, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness for all Americans, all of us. And that's our job. And it's got to be led by white people and those of us who are white who will be allies to support the movements necessary to bring about these important values. So that's my take on today. Think about this. Think about how you can be an ally, how you can be an anti-racist. God bless you.